Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I've been married to my husband Mark, 45 male, for 3 years, though we dated for 2 years before tying the knot. He has a daughter, Emma, 24 female, from his previous marriage. When Mark and I first started dating, Emma was in college. While we weren't super close, I thought we had a pretty decent relationship. She'd come home during school breaks. We'd do family dinners and everything seemed fine. There was no drama, no tension, just normal, polite interactions. Emma lost her mom when she was 16. Mark's ex-wife passed away suddenly, and I've always been very aware of not overstepping in her life. I didn't want to make her feel like I was trying to replace her mom. So instead of acting like a stepmom, I tried to just be more of a friendly presence in her life, especially since she was already an adult when I came into the picture. Mark has always been very protective of Emma, and I get that. She's been through a lot, losing her mom at such a young age. Over the years, I've seen how much he prioritizes her. Whether it's dropping everything to help her move apartments, spending hours on the phone if she's stressed, or making sure she has what she needs during big life events like finals or job changes. Honestly, I admired how dedicated he was to being a great dad, and I wanted to support him in that without ever crossing any lines. 6 months ago, Emma married her college boyfriend, James, 25 male. It was a beautiful wedding, and I was genuinely happy for her. I helped out a lot with the planning, offering to step in wherever she needed. I didn't want to overdo it, but I also wanted to show her that I cared and was here for her. At the wedding, she actually hugged me and told me she was happy her dad found someone who cared about their family. That moment felt huge for me, like we had maybe turned a corner in our relationship. I was hopeful things would only get better from there, but after the wedding, things started to change. Emma became more distant. She started canceling plans we had made, or would just ignore my texts entirely when we did see each other. She barely spoke to me. At first, I chalked it up to her being busy with newlywed life. Maybe adjusting to marriage was taking up all her time and energy, but after a while, it was hard not to feel hurt. Mark didn't seem to notice, or if he did, he didn't say anything. Whenever I brought it up, he'd tell me to be patient and remind me that Emma had been through a lot in her life. Then, about a month ago, Emma announced that she and James were planning a 6-month wedding anniversary celebration. She described it as a small, intimate family dinner to celebrate their special bond. I thought it was a little unusual. 6 months isn't exactly a big milestone, right? And it wasn't even on the exact date of their anniversary. Instead, it was scheduled for a weekend, which I figured was just to make it more convenient for everyone. I didn't say anything about it, because she seemed really excited, and I didn't want to rain on her parade. Mark, of course, was completely on board and kept saying how important it was to support Emma and whatever made her happy. But then, 3 days ago, everything took a turn. I got a call from my brother with terrible news. Our mom had suffered a massive stroke. The doctors weren't optimistic about her chances. My mom lives in California, while we're in Massachusetts, so it's not like I could just pop over to see her. My mom is my rock. She raised me and my siblings as a single parent, working multiple jobs to make sure we had a good life. She's been there for me through everything. And now, the thought of losing her felt unbearable. I knew I had to get to her as soon as possible. I immediately booked the first flight I could find to get to California. There was no question in my mind, I had to be there with my mom. This, of course, meant I'd miss Emma's celebration. I tried explaining the situation to both Mark and Emma. I told them about my mom's condition, how serious it was, and that I needed to go. I thought they'd understand, but Emma was furious. She said I was abandoning their family celebration and accused me of not caring about her happiness. I was stunned. How could she think that? My mom was literally dying. Mark, on the other hand, looked torn. I could tell he didn't want to take sides, but then he said something that floored me. You should think carefully about your priorities. Priorities. My mom's life was slipping away, and they were upset about a 6-month wedding anniversary dinner. It felt surreal. I didn't have time to process their reactions, though. I packed my bags, got on the plane, and flew out that evening. When I got to the hospital, my mom was barely conscious. I held her hand, told her how much I loved her, and stayed by her side all night. She passed away early the next morning. It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but I'm so grateful I was there with her in her final moments. I got to say goodbye. That's something I'll always hold on to no matter what. The next day, I flew back home completely drained physically and emotionally. I barely slept, and I was still trying to wrap my head around the fact that my mom was gone. When I walked through the door, Mark was waiting for me. He didn't hug me or ask how I was doing. Instead, he handed me divorce papers. I was in shock. He told me my true colors had come out and that I clearly didn't prioritize his family. He said he couldn't be with someone who wouldn't put Emma's happiness first. He actually said, Emma needs stability and support, and you've shown you can't provide that. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mom had just died, and now my marriage was falling apart because I missed a party. It felt like I was in some sort of alternate reality. Mark didn't stop there. He went on about how I'd always been distant with Emma, and how this was just the last straw. He even brought up things I barely remembered, like the time I forgot to text Emma happy birthday, even though I'd called her and sent her a gift. He said I'd never truly accepted Emma as part of my life, which felt completely unfair. I'd done so much to build a relationship with her. I helped plan her wedding, listened to her vent about work, and even played mediator when she and James had a big fight early in their marriage. But none of that seemed to matter now. Now I'm sitting in a hotel room because Mark asked me to give him space. My mom is gone. My marriage is apparently over, and I feel like I'm living in some kind of nightmare where being with my dying mom makes me the bad guy. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if I missed something. Were there signs I ignored? Was I wrong to leave? I've been so gaslit that I don't even know what's reasonable anymore. Am I the crazy one here, or is their reaction as absurd as it feels to me? Looking back, there were definitely red flags. Mark's protectiveness of Emma wasn't just about being a caring dad. It had often crossed the line into enabling. Emma could be rude or dismissive, and Mark would always excuse it, saying, "She's been through a lot." Anytime I brought it up, he'd shut me down and say I needed to be more understanding. It's like he put Emma on this pedestal, and I was just expected to orbit around their dynamic without question. And now, because I didn't fall in line this one time because I chose to be with my dying mom, I've been cast aside. It feels like everything I worked for, my relationship with Mark, and my efforts to connect with Emma has just been erased. I don't know what to do anymore. I've lost my mom, my marriage, and any sense of stability I had. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Should I have handled things differently? Was I really in the wrong? Or is this as insane as it feels to me? Not the a-hole, and honestly, this is horrifying. OP's mom was actively dying. A 6-month anniversary dinner is not a crisis, not an emergency, and not something that outweighs saying goodbye to a parent. The fact that Mark even hesitated instead of immediately supporting OP is a massive red flag. Handing OP divorce papers right after her mother's death is cold, cruel, and completely lacking in empathy. And now let's hear community's opinion. You're not crazy. You've been living in a family system where Emma's feelings are treated as sacred, and everyone else's are disposable. Mark didn't want a partner. He wanted someone who would permanently rank second to his adult daughter, no matter the circumstance. That's not healthy parenting. It's emotional enmeshment. Missing a party because your mother was dying should never, ever be framed as a moral failure. This wasn't about the anniversary dinner. That was just the excuse. The real issue is that the moment you didn't subordinate your grief and your family to Emma's wants, they showed you exactly where you stand. A man who serves divorce papers instead of offering comfort after a death isn't someone who loves you. He's someone who expects obedience. Grieve your mom, and when you're ready, grieve the marriage you thought you had. not the a-hole in any universe. Mark rewriting history, dredging up tiny infractions, and claiming your true colors came out is classic gaslighting. You did the most human thing possible. You chose your dying mother. The fact that Emma is 24, married, and still positioned as the emotional center of your marriage should tell you everything. It hurts now, but long-term, this divorce may be saving you from a lifetime of being last. Update 1. First off, I just want to say thank you for all the support and kind messages. I've read through every comment and DM, and it's honestly been overwhelming in the best way. So many of you have reminded me that I'm not crazy, and that means the world to me right now. A lot of people asked for more details, so I wanted to fill in some of the gaps and update you on what's been happening. After reading your advice, I reached out to my brother and a few close friends who've been amazing throughout this whole mess. My brother even flew out to stay with me, and having him here has been a huge comfort. We've been going through Mom's belongings together, which is both heartbreaking and therapeutic. We've spent hours reminiscing about her, how she always made time for us, even when she was working multiple jobs, how she never let us feel like we were missing out on anything. It's made me realize just how much she shaped who I am. I miss her more than I can put into words, but I'm determined to honor her memory in the best way I can. Unfortunately, the situation with Mark and Emma has only gotten worse. I found out through mutual friends that Emma's been posting all over social media about how I abandoned their family and ruined her special day. Apparently, she's been telling people that I never cared about her and only married Mark for his money, which is absolutely ridiculous. For context, I'm a software engineer and make significantly more than Mark does. The idea that I used him is laughable, but seeing my character dragged through the mud is still infuriating, especially when all I did was choose to be with my dying mom. After hearing this, I decided to consult a lawyer. When I explained the situation, she was stunned. She said Mark's behavior, especially serving me divorce papers so quickly, shows signs of emotional manipulation. She even suggested that the divorce papers may have been premeditated, which honestly feels like a punch to the gut. But at least I'm now taking steps to protect myself. She's helping me make sure my assets are safe and that I get a fair settlement. Luckily, we live in a state where marital property is divided equitably, so that's a relief. She also advised me to document everything: Emma's social media posts, text messages, emails, everything. So I've started compiling evidence to make sure my side of the story is clear. What really opened my eyes, though, was something my friend Sarah showed me. She had screenshots of Emma's social media posts from the past few months, and they were eye-opening. There were multiple passive-aggressive posts about step-parents knowing their place and how blood is thicker than water. It turns out Emma had me blocked from seeing certain posts, so I had no idea any of this was happening. The post started right after her wedding, which explains the sudden shift in her behavior toward me. The worst one, she wrote something about how her mom would be rolling in her grave if she knew what kind of person her dad had married. That one cut deep. I've always been so careful to respect her late mother's memory. I never tried to replace her mom or overstep in any way, and to see something so cruel felt like a slap in the face. There were also comments from her friends, and even Mark, that seemed to support what she was saying. It was like they were all buying into this narrative that I was some sort of evil stepmother. Looking back now, it's clear Emma never truly accepted me, no matter how much effort I put in. I helped her pick out her wedding dress. I spent hours coordinating with vendors, making sure everything went smoothly. When her budget ran over, I even stepped in to help cover some of the costs without saying a word. At the time, I thought those moments brought us closer. I really believed we were building a relationship, but now it's obvious she had already made up her mind about me long before that. Her social media posts make it clear she's been painting me as the villain to justify her own behavior. I don't know if it's insecurity, resentment, or just the way she's processing her mom's loss, but it's exhausting. No matter what I did, it was never going to be enough for her. What's even more mind-boggling to me is Mark's complete refusal to see the bigger picture in all of this. When I tried to bring up the social media posts I'd seen, he completely brushed me off. He said I was misunderstanding Emma's intentions and accused me of being petty for even looking at her posts in the first place. The thing is, I didn't go looking. My friend showed them to me because she was genuinely concerned about what was being said. But to Mark, it didn't matter. He was so focused on defending Emma that he refused to even acknowledge how hurtful and unfair her behavior has been. It's like he's completely blinded by this need to protect her, no matter how unreasonable or cruel she's being. Then there's something my lawyer pointed out that really stuck with me. The timing of everything. Emma's party had been planned for weeks, but those divorce papers, they were drawn up way too quickly after I left for California. Like way too quickly. It's hard not to wonder if this whole thing was already in the works before any of this happened. Were Mark and Emma talking about pushing me out behind my back? Honestly, the idea feels like a punch to the gut. But when I think about how everything has unfolded, the party, Emma's posts, Mark's sudden coldness, it all seems too coordinated to be a coincidence. And then there's the added layer of other family members weighing in. I've gotten a mix of reactions. Some people have reached out to offer condolences and support, which I deeply appreciate. But others, mostly from Mark's side, have sided with him and Emma. One of his sisters even called me to say how disappointed she was in the way I handled things. According to her, family means prioritizing each other's happiness above all else. I don't know what kind of family values they're following, but in my world, dropping everything to be with a dying parent isn't just acceptable, it's the right thing to do. The fact that anyone would expect me to choose a 6-month anniversary dinner over my mom's final moments is beyond me. Despite all this chaos, I'm trying to keep myself grounded and focus on what matters. My brother has been a rock through all of this. He keeps reminding me that I did the right thing and that I need to take care of myself now. We've been talking about organizing a small memorial service for Mom in a few weeks, something intimate with just close friends and family who truly loved her. The thought of honoring her memory in a meaningful way is giving me something to hold on to during the storm. Honestly, this whole experience has been such an eye-opener. It's painful to realize that the person I thought was my partner, the person I planned to spend my life with, could turn on me so quickly over something so trivial. I've been questioning everything, trying to figure out if I missed any red flags or warning signs. But at this point, I think it's clear that this was never about me missing one dinner. This was about control, about Mark and Emma's dynamic, and about me being punished for not falling in line with their expectations. I don't know what the future looks like right now, but I'm trying to take it one step at a time. For now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life, surrounding myself with people who truly care, and honoring my mom's legacy. She raised me to be strong, and even though I feel completely shattered right now, I know she'd want me to stand tall and move forward. Thank you again to everyone who has reached out, shared your advice, or just sent a kind word. It means more than I can put into words to know that I'm not alone in this. You've helped me see things more clearly and reminded me that I'm not the one who's in the wrong here. Update 2. Things have taken a completely unexpected turn. A few days ago, I got an email from James, Emma's husband, that left me absolutely stunned. In the email, James apologized for not reaching out sooner and explained some things that I'm still struggling to process. He told me that Emma has been dealing with unresolved grief about her mom, and apparently their wedding brought a lot of those emotions to the surface. While she's been seeing a therapist, instead of working through her feelings, she's been projecting them onto me. The most shocking part, James revealed that Emma had actually planned the 6-month anniversary party on that specific date on purpose. She had overheard me mention in passing that my mom wasn't doing well, and she intentionally chose that day as some kind of twisted test of my loyalty to their family. According to James, Emma believed that if I didn't show up, it would confirm her theory that stepmoms always leave. I was in complete disbelief reading this. The idea that Emma deliberately orchestrated the situation, knowing my mom was sick, just to provoke a reaction, it feels so cruel and manipulative. I've been replaying every interaction I've ever had with her, trying to figure out how I missed the depth of her resentment toward me. It's heartbreaking because I genuinely cared about her and did my best to build a relationship, only to find out she was testing me like this. James also shared some insights about Mark that hit me hard. Apparently, James has been urging Emma to dig deeper into her issues in therapy, but Mark has been undermining those efforts. Instead of encouraging Emma to take responsibility for her feelings, Mark has been validating her fears about abandonment, reinforcing the idea that I was somehow in the wrong. James said Mark told him it was easier to put the blame on me than to hold Emma accountable because he didn't want to upset her. Hearing this from James was both validating and devastating. It's one thing to suspect that your spouse doesn't have your back, but it's another thing entirely to have it confirmed. Mark wasn't just passive in this situation. He actively chose to protect Emma at my expense, even when it meant tearing apart our marriage. After I read James's email, I forwarded it to my lawyer right away. She told me it's a significant piece of evidence, especially since it shows that Emma's actions were deliberate and that Mark was complicit. She believes this could strengthen my case for an expedited divorce and might even protect me from any financial claims Mark tries to make. My lawyer also encouraged me to document everything else, including Emma's social media posts and any interactions I've had with Mark. On her advice, I've also started looking into therapy for myself. After everything I've been through, I know I need help processing all of this. Between losing my mom, the collapse of my marriage, and now learning about Emma's manipulations, it's just been too much. I found a few therapists in my area, and I'm hoping to start sessions soon. In the meantime, I've moved out of the hotel and into a small temporary apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it's cozy, and for the first time in a while, I feel like I have a space to breathe and start fresh. My brother has been absolutely amazing throughout all of this. He's helped me furnish the apartment, unpack, and even hang up pictures to make it feel like home. He's also been there emotionally, always ready to listen when I need to vent or sort through my feelings. He even offered to stay with me if I ever feel lonely. I honestly don't know how I'd be handling everything without him. To protect my mental health, I've made some tough but necessary decisions. I blocked Mark and Emma on social media and asked mutual friends not to give me updates about them. As painful as it is, I know I need that distance to heal. Unfortunately, it seems Emma hasn't stopped stirring the pot. A mutual friend told me she's been posting vague, dramatic updates online, implying that I abandoned the family and left Mark heartbroken. She's even hinted that my leaving is proof that I was never serious about our marriage. It's frustrating to hear these things, but I'm trying not to let them get to me. The people who truly know me understand the truth, and at the end of the day, their opinion is what matters. James's email also uncovered something else that's been hard to process. Apparently, Emma's resentment toward me had been brewing for a while, even before the 6-month anniversary party. According to James, she had doubts about my commitment to the family after I hesitated to cover some extra wedding expenses. While I eventually did help out, Emma apparently took my initial hesitation as a sign that I didn't care about her or Mark. Finding this out felt like another gut punch. Not only was I completely blindsided by her hostility, but Mark clearly knew about her doubts and chose to do nothing about it. Instead of addressing the situation or reassuring her, he ignored it. And that lack of support stings more than I can put into words. If there's a silver lining to all this, it's been the support I've received from some unexpected places. A few old friends reached out after hearing about my mom's passing and the fallout with Mark. Their kindness and understanding have been a breath of fresh air. It's reminded me that not everyone is selfish or manipulative, and there are people who genuinely care. I've even started making plans to meet up with some of them in the coming weeks, which has given me something to look forward to during this tough time. This whole experience has been unbelievably painful, but I'm starting to see it as a chance for growth. I've realized how important it is to set boundaries and prioritize myself, something I've struggled with in the past. While there are still moments of sadness and doubt, I'm beginning to believe that this chapter of my life is the start of something better. My mom always wanted me to be surrounded by love and respect, and I owe it to her and to myself to create that kind of future. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on healing, rebuilding, and learning to embrace this fresh start. It's not easy, but I know I'm moving in the right direction. Update 3. This will likely be my final update. The past few days have brought a lot of clarity. Mark finally reached out, though not to apologize. Instead, he wanted to negotiate. It seems he's realized that filing for divorce so quickly, especially while I was grieving my mom, wasn't a smart move. My lawyer explained that his timing and behavior during this whole mess could make him look really bad in court. I think Mark is trying to avoid embarrassment and any legal consequences for his impulsiveness. He's now eager to settle quietly and quickly. And while I agreed to discuss it, I made it clear that my well-being comes first. On another note, Emma's therapist reached out to me completely with Emma's permission. She wanted to explain a few things, which honestly gave me a lot of perspective. Apparently, Emma's unresolved grief over her mom hit her hard around the time of her wedding. The therapist said Emma has been dealing with feelings of abandonment and guilt for years, but instead of working through them, she channeled those emotions into resentment toward me. I also learned that the therapist had warned Emma against throwing the 6-month anniversary party, recognizing it as an unhealthy way of coping. But Mark, as usual, went along with it to avoid upsetting Emma. While this context doesn't excuse Emma's behavior, it does help me understand why she acted the way she did. It's sad, honestly, because it seems like she's stuck in a cycle of grief and misplaced anger, and Mark has been enabling it instead of helping her truly heal. After some back and forth, I've decided to accept Mark's settlement offer, but only under specific conditions. My lawyer has ensured the terms are fair, not just financially, but also in giving me a clean break. I'll be keeping my personal assets along with compensation for the emotional stress and upheaval this ordeal has caused. Most importantly, I've insisted on a full separation. No contact with Mark or Emma, no social media ties, and no lingering connections that could pull me back into their toxic dynamic. My lawyer is finalizing the paperwork, and I'm hopeful this chapter will be closed soon. Some of Mark's family members have reached out, and their reactions have been mixed. The most surprising was his sister, who called to say how shocked and disappointed she is in Mark's behavior. She even told me that this isn't the first time his enabling of Emma has caused problems. Apparently, his late ex-wife had similar concerns about their relationship before she passed. Hearing that was both validating and heartbreaking. It made me realize that this wasn't something I could have fixed no matter how hard I tried. Their unhealthy dynamic was there, long before I came into the picture. The biggest surprise, though, came from James, Emma's husband. He reached out and asked to meet for coffee, saying he has some things to share about Mark's patterns of behavior that he thinks I should know about for the divorce. I agreed, but only with my lawyer present to make sure anything he shares can be properly documented and used if necessary. I'm still a little hesitant about what James wants to say, but his willingness to speak up gives me hope that someone in Emma's life is trying to help her move toward healthier choices. To everyone who supported me and helped me see that I wasn't crazy, thank you. The kindness and validation I've received from friends, family, and even strangers have been a beacon of hope during one of the darkest times of my life. Sometimes it takes your whole world falling apart to see what was wrong with the picture in the first place. I chose to be with my dying mother in her final moments, and I will never regret that decision. No healthy relationship would have required me to choose differently. I'm focusing now on healing, processing my grief, and rebuilding my life. My mom taught me to be strong and independent, and to never compromise my values for anyone. I know she'd be proud of me for standing my ground, even when it cost me everything else. Am I sad? Yes. Do I regret my choice? Not for a second. My mom was there for me my entire life, and I was there for her at the end. That's what real family does. No anniversary party could ever be more important than that. While this journey has been painful, it's also been a lesson in self-worth and the importance of setting boundaries. I'm choosing to see it as the start of a new chapter 1, where I prioritize my own happiness and well-being. To anyone who's struggling with similar challenges, I hope my story reminds you that it's okay to choose yourself.